Be inspired by the solutions of 3 startups that are reshaping the mobility of tomorrow. BNP Paribas is pleased to welcome Door-to-Door, Streetco, and Ridecell for short and impactful presentations on how to optimize people's journeys. Stay connected because this Movin'On Startup Booster will be followed by a masterclass highlighting findings from Accenture's recent research on megacity public transport users and what is required to redefine the end-to-end customer experience. I would also invite you to navigate the platform and explore the different networking and collaborative opportunities offered during the summit.
Today, we need to imagine and build tomorrow's mobility, a more sustainable kind of mobility. To accelerate the movement, we created the Movin'On Startup Booster to support promising startups. Our objective is to boost their network, visibility, and business. This year, with 16 Movin'On partners, we have decided to focus on 4 priorities for sustainable mobility. Support the energy transition towards decarbonization, improve safety through connected solutions, optimize people's journeys, design circular approaches for mobility products and services. To move from ambition to action, we selected 12 startups whose innovations provide solutions to these challenges. Welcome to this flash talk focusing on optimizing people's journeys. Our partner BNP Paribas, represented today by Laura Wirsztel, will explore this topic with 3 startups: Door-to-Door, Ridecell, Streetco.
Hello everyone, I'm very pleased to host this flash talk today dedicated to optimizing people's journeys, which is one of the 4 key challenges identified by the Movin'On Startup Booster. To talk about this topic, I'm happy to welcome today 3 great startups and their ambassadors: Philippe Huysmans, VP of Growth at Ridecell, Andre Gerhardi, Chief Commercial Officer at Door-to-Door, and Arthur Alba, CEO of Streetco. Thank you all for participating to this panel. To start our discussion, I think it would be great to get your perspectives on some of the challenges you see around the optimization of people's journeys, as you're addressing different issues around people's mobility. Ridecell and Streetco, you're both addressing issues around people's mobility, but from very different angles. Door-to-Door, you're addressing peri-urban mobility and multimodality. Maybe to start, Philippe, can you tell us more about the challenges you see in cities?
Thanks, Laura. I see 2 key challenges in people's journeys today. The first is pollution, especially in crowded cities, and the need to reduce gas emissions for a better, greener world. And the second is simply quality of life and the need to reduce the time lost in transport, especially when you think of single cars stuck in traffic. From these 2 main challenges, the need emerges to put in place new mobility solutions, where people move away from individual cars to the use of green shared mobility, which in turn requires to create new revenue models around car sharing, ride sharing, or shared delivery fleets, and also optimize the operations of these fleets to help them achieve profitability. And we are happy to be working on both these solutions.
Thanks, Philippe. Andre, your company is also working on shared mobility with a view to decrease private cars usage, but you're tackling the issues around the lack of mobility solutions in peri-urban areas. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes, Laura, happy to do so. So indeed, from our point of view, the big problem in the mobility market is that there's a massive gap in the offering of mobility. So mobility today is either very efficient, like public transport is, or is very comfortable, like the private car, for example, is. But there's something missing in between, so that there's a big gap in the middle, combining the best of both, so efficient and comfortable at the same time. And also there's a gap in the public transport offering itself. In urban areas, we have a good network typically, but in non-urban areas, in many cases, we don't have a proper offering. And this leads to the fact that today there is actually not a real attractive alternative to the private car. And that's what we're looking at door-to-door.
Thanks, Andre. The MovinOn Startup Booster's objective is around accelerating greener mobility solutions, but also to be an advocate for more inclusive mobility. One aspect that is much less addressed when we think about the optimization of mobility journeys is the journeys of pedestrians. Arthur, can you tell us more about the challenges of pedestrians' mobility?
Yeah, of course, Laura. So the challenge we tackle at Streetco is that today there are many apps available to optimize pedestrian journeys, but they're only based on the length of the travel. So none of these apps take into account the mobility of the user or the obstacles in the street, whether they are permanent obstacles such as stairs or slopes, or temporary obstacles such as work areas. So it makes the journey a difficult one for a disabled person and reduced mobility pedestrian, but also people with crutches, with luggages, and with strollers. So that's what we address at Streetco.
Thanks, Arthur. Now that we have an understanding of the challenges you see around the optimization of people's journeys, can you tell us more about your solution and the end users and clients that can benefit from it? For example, Arthur, how do you address the optimization of pedestrian issues through Streetco?
So Streetco is basically a Waze for pedestrians, because we provide an adapted and calculated route, so adapted to the mobility of the user, whether they are in a wheelchair, with a stroller, or with a big luggage. Will help them find the best route adapted to their mobility. And so Streetco is as Waze because the platform is collaborative, so everyone can contribute and report the obstacles they see in the streets. They just have to take a picture, and with artificial intelligence, we are able to detect what's on the picture, so it takes less than 3 seconds. And the benefits for the users is more autonomy and less obstacles during all their routes. We also answer the need for cities to provide a safe and comfortable transportation to its citizens. And so today, working with such cities, with European cities, we want to provide a better mobility solution to all pedestrians and answer issues around the social inclusion. We want to help people move easier in the streets.
Well, it's a great solution lacking in today's landscape. Thanks for that, Arthur. Philippe, your solution tackles the issues around shared mobility fleets. Can you tell us more about Ridecell software platform?
Yes, of course. The Ridecell Fleet IoT automation platform addresses the needs of fleet operators, which can be large corporate fleets, public fleets, logistics and delivery fleets. And these fleets can be trucks, cars, scooters, or bikes, most often today electric vehicles. We help the digital transformation of these fleets, first enabling the launch of shared fleets with new revenue models like car sharing or shared logistics fleets, where you can unlock and start your vehicles using your mobile phone instead of traditional car keys. And second, what is new and unique is automating these fleets using data from the vehicles via our IoT platform to reduce fleet operating costs. As a good example of automation, we can now see in real time when the tire of a car is losing pressure. And we can immediately trigger an action to move that vehicle out of service and send it to the nearest available repair shop. In short, we help fleets modernize and take advantage of data. And basically that's in order to increase their revenues per vehicle by adding shared models or decrease their operational costs through automations. This allows fleets to grow in a sustainable and profitable way, marking the move to more shared electric vehicle fleets.
Well, increasing revenues and reducing costs, that's a great equation. Thanks, Philippe. Andre, your software platform is geared towards running more efficiently a mobility solution that is usually powered by public transport operators. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes, indeed. So we are door-to-door at the core providing the technology for on-demand public transportation, so for transportation on demand. And this means in particular that we provide the software for running on-demand shuttles, ride-pooling shuttles, which combine the mobility demands of different people into one shared ride. So it's all about increasing the efficiency of a vehicle by decreasing the length of a trip and by finding the optimum of how to pool different people in one combined ride. And we're offering the full stack technology, everything which is needed. So the passenger app, the driver app, but also the back end, the platform behind, including a full-fledged fleet management. And if desired, we can also package this into a multimodal mobility as a service app and can combine various modes into one app so that the end user is actually having a seamless multi/intermodal journey. Also, we're offering a set of professional services because this technology obviously comes with a certain complexity, and we need to make sure that the full value can be leveraged, and therefore we have an end-to-end offering to make this actually happening in the public transport. And by this, at the end, we are able to provide a real alternative to the private car and make the public transport much more individual.
Well, thanks, Andre. 3 great solutions from 3 great startups. Indeed. Maybe to conclude this flash talk, it would be great to hear about your next steps for your startups and what connections you're hoping to make at Movin'On. Andre, maybe you could start?
Indeed, we are looking at different use cases right now. So until now, Door2Door is a market leader for public transport on-demand mobility. But it turned out that our technology is actually capable to also run other transportation on-demand services, like medical transport, paratransit, school transport. And we just started the first 2 projects in Germany, also including logistics, by the way, into the public transport. And our big vision is to combine various use cases into one mixed fleet, into one mixed offering, so that we not only can leverage the efficiency of one fleet, but also combine complementary use cases, and with this increase the overall efficiency of urban and non-urban mobility.
Thanks, Andre. Philippe, Ridecell is an established startup with a large client footprint already. What are your next steps and what are your targets for the Movin'On Summit?
Yeah, we see Europe as an incredible growth area. And we already have a good presence in Europe with large, fast-moving customers like Toyota and Daimler. And we are looking to expand further by connecting with fleet operators, which want to increase revenues by launching new revenue models like shared mobility, or reduce operational costs by leveraging IoT automations. And so if you have a fleet, or if you're looking to launch a fleet, whether for delivery services, car sharing, or a corporate fleet, we are happy to talk to you. And we believe the Movin'On Summit will be a great opportunity to meet.
Well, thanks, Philippe. Arthur, we'll conclude with your next steps.
Sure. So we have 2 main steps. The first one is that we want to expand and deploy our technology in as many cities as possible, because we have developed our technology in a way it can be plugged in any app or any website. And doing so, we'll be able to offer accessible routes to many more people. So we are looking to connect to any European city who wants to offer its inhabitants a more inclusive mobility. And the second step is that we are also looking to connect with large corporates as well, because with large corporates, we organize challenges. The goal of the challenge is to mobilize and sensitize employees with the Streetco app. The goal is to make as many reports as possible with the teams of the corporates. So it will sensitize, it will improve our maps, and of course, it will have a great social impact to all our users.
Well, thanks. On that inspiring note around an efficient, greener and more inclusive mobility for tomorrow, we're going to conclude our flash talk around how to optimize people's journeys. Many thanks again to Philippe from Ridecell, Arthur from Streetco, and Andre from Door2Door. And congratulations again for being selected by the Movin'On Startup Booster. Many thanks also to all the attendees who joined today's flash talk. And please do not hesitate to reach out to Philippe, Arthur, or Andre, or anyone else at Ridecell, Streetco, or Door2Door if you want to engage with them. Thanks, everyone.